In this section, we're going to discuss circles. A circle is a set of points that are a fixed distance from a fixed point. So basically, if you were to use a compass and you had your point right here in the middle and you had a fixed distance set, then as you draw around, that creates a circle. And that is the definition of a circle, are those points that are a fixed distance from the center. That fixed distance is called the radius, and the point in the middle is called the center. The radius we call r, and the center is hk, where h is the x value of the coordinate and k is the y coordinate. The standard form of the equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k, that should be a k, squared, equals r squared. Write the standard form of the equation of the circle with the center at 0, -6, and a radius at 10. Okay, so what we're going to do is just fill in. We've got x minus the x value of the center, that's 0, squared, plus y minus the y value of the center, that's -6, squared, equals the radius, squared. So x minus 0 is just x, so we got x squared, and then y minus -6 is y plus 6 squared equals 100. And so that's the equation of our circle. For example 2, looking at the equation of this circle, what's the center and what's the radius? Well, h and k are going to be the opposite. So we've got x plus 3 here. That means h is -3. And we've got y minus 1, so that means k is +1. And then the radius is 4. R squared, though, is 4. The radius itself isn't 4. So r is the square root of 4, which is 2. And of course, we don't say plus or minus because it's a distance, so it has to be positive. So the radius is 2, and the center is -3, 1. Graph this equation. Okay, the center is at -3, 1. The radius is 2, so I'm going to go out 2 in every direction that I easily can. And then I'm going to very carefully attempt to draw this circle. That wasn't awful. Now we want to identify the domain and range. So the domain are the x values. We're starting at -5 and going to -1. It is including -5 and -1, so we'll use brackets. And then the range is starting at, well, that's supposed to be at -1. It's not quite there in my picture, but that's okay. And going up to 3, and they are included, so -1 to 3 with brackets. The next part asks us to find the x and y intercepts. We can do that, of course, just by looking at the graph, or we can find them algebraically. So by looking at the graph, well, actually that's pretty hard, isn't it? Because the x-intercepts are right here. Yeah, that would be difficult. So let's do it algebraically. To find an x-intercept, remember, let y be 0. So back to our equation, we want to let y be 0. So we've got x minus 3 squared plus 0, that was plus 3, minus 1 squared equals 4. Zero minus 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. So we've got x plus 3 squared equals 3. Take the square root of both sides. And x plus 3 is the square root of 3. Or, nope, sorry, plus or minus the square root of 3. Because these x-intercepts can be negative. So x plus 3 is equal to positive the square root of 3, or x plus 3 is equal to negative the square root of 3. X is then square root of 3 minus 3, which is negative 1.27, or x is negative the square root of 3 minus 3, which is approximately negative 4.73. And that makes sense for our graph. So our x-intercepts are the points negative 4.730 and negative 1.270. Then the y-intercepts, we would plug in 0 for x and solve for y. Fact is, you can look at the graph here and see that there are no y-intercepts. The general form of the equation of a circle is where we have x squared plus y squared plus a number times x plus a number times y plus a number equals 0. So if we've got an equation in standard form or in general form, how do we go back to standard form? Well, we have to complete the square. So, here's how we go about this. First, group your x's together and group your y's together. I just let that kitty inside and now he wants back out. And move the 1 over. Okay? And so we're going to complete the square twice. Once for the x's and once for the y's. So, for the x's, we've got x squared plus 4x plus something. And for the y's, we've got y squared minus 4y plus something else. We'll put 2 bars there. Equals 1, and then we have to add those things to the other side. So plus something else. So what are our somethings? If you remember, to find what goes there, we take b, divide by 2. So take b, divide by 2, and square it. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So a 4 goes in these blanks. Same thing for our y's. So negative 4 divided by 2, square it. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2, and negative 2 squared is 4. Okay? So our answer is, factor this, it's a perfect square trinomial, so it's just x plus 2 squared. And then the y's, y minus 2 squared, equals, add those up, 9. And there's your solution. And that's it on circles.